Well, let's go to the Victorian election. Polling, well, the campaign's well and truly underway, 24 days until polling day. But importantly, let's remember this, postal voting applications are now open in Victoria and pre-polls open very early in under 2 weeks on November 14. First full day, we'll watch the race here every night. I'll keep you up to date. Check in with our reporters on the ground for all the latest promises and announcements. To do that now, joining me outside Victoria's Parliament House, Sky News reporter Simon Love. First day, as I said, Melbourne Cup yesterday, I think that washed away a lot of stuff there. Simon, you've been travelling with the Premier Daniel Andrews today. What can you tell us?
Well, he took the media on board his big red bus and headed up to Ballarat. Now, this is an area that's quite safe for Labor at the moment, but he headed to a new seat, Eureka, and then made a major transport announcement, announcing that the fares of regional train and bus travellers would be slashed from around $40, $50, even up to $60 down to $9.20. And he also announced a new order for the regional trains as well that would cost some hundreds of millions of dollars. The policy, particularly on public transport fares, that comes after the Coalition announced it would halve regional transport fares, so Labor trying to go one better on that matter. The Premier, though, is appearing quite confident. He had two of his senior ministers alongside him, Ben Carroll, the public transport minister, who was facing questions about using his government department, the Department of Transport, to cost the opposition's public transport policy for $2 flat fee fares. And he also had Jacinta Allen, his deputy premier, and some view her as the heir and apparent, alongside as well. But Kath Andrews was certainly there, and the Premier, just one stop today up in Ballarat at the Alstom train yard. He'll be back on that bus tomorrow, Peter.
All right, just quickly, give me a sense of where the opposition leader was today and what he was doing.
Down in the Sandbelt in Melbourne's southeast, he was focused on cost of living, particularly with a pledge on water specifically. He'll be freezing the service charge that's charged to Victorians over their water bills, so really going for that cost of living push. But he was distracted today because of something that people are calling a gaffe, essentially. Instead of a bus, the Liberals are rolling out a 1970s ambulance that still has the word ambulance on it, but it isn't a registered ambulance. The union pointing out that that may contravene emergency laws that stipulate that only ambulance vehicles can have the word ambulance on it. So Matthew Guy was quite frustrated at the suggestion that they might have broken the law on that one. Matthew Guy too facing questions about the costings of his transport policies. As I mentioned before, Ben Carroll using his department to show that his costings may have been out by around about $1 billion or so. So cost of living, big focus for the first day of the campaign, Peter.
Yeah, just quickly, I wouldn't get to a Sky News debate. There's certainly a discussion that there may well be a face-off between Matthew Guy and the Premier here on Sky. Would love that. The Premier was asked questions about these Islamic State women coming to Melbourne, but why wasn't he questioned at all about this revelation in the Australian newspaper that if you're close to him or his office, you get a better deal on these funding programs? If you're not his mate or you're not a factional ally, you and your electorate are worse off. Certainly a big story in the papers this morning, but I think particularly with that gaffe that happened this morning with the ambulance and also the questions over those costings certainly dominated the press conferences. It seemed to be the issue that both parties became unstuck of, so that probably took most of the focus away. Certainly those issues are at play in the background. And the Sky News debate, do you think it'll happen? I heard you ask the Premier, was he going to front? Do you think he'll front? Well, it's up to him, ultimately. As much as he says it's up to the party to negotiate with the Liberals and also with, outlets such as Sky News that have had bids in since June for a People's Forum to take place before 100 undecided voters. Matthew Guy's certainly committed to it. He said he'll front up, asking Daniel Andrews twice this week actually 3 times this week, whether he'd be keen to do it. He has been brushing off that question. Saying that it's a matter for the party. Right. It might be that you're scary, Simon. I can promise the Premier can sit right next to me anytime he likes, and we can have a little chat here on Credlin. Leave it there. Okay, thank you,
Hopefully
Simon.
not
We'll
too
cross back into you, I'm
Peter,
sure,
though.
during the care. No, I'm not scary. You can come here any night.